two sides. There's no front, there's no back, it's open.
There's 4 guys in here?
4 guys would have shared this.
That's so exciting.
One guy would have carried this half, one guy would have carried this half, one guy would have carried this, which is the ground cloth, and the other person would have carried the poles. So a Civil War soldier would have worn this. Okay, this is the least amount of clothes I would have worn, even inside my house. Inside the house, I would not have worn a hat. If I was in public, I would have worn a hat, but this is the very least amount of clothes I would have worn. If I was to take my vest off and just walk around in my shirt, that means that I'm a very poor, very uneducated, very backwards type of person. To be a member of functioning society, you would have dressed the part, and a vest is the minimum, along with a hat. Yeah. Interesting thing I always like talking about are the shoes. Use your desk. This is called a brogan. Okay? It's just leather on a hunk of wood. Alright? So it's just leather on a hunk of wood. Simple leather shoe, okay? They would not have had left and right shoes. These would have been cut exactly the same. Left foot, right foot, exactly the same. The only difference is when you wear it, you wear it. So I will wear one side down differently than I wear the other. So time is money. Money, a lot of places, during the war was hard to come by. So they would cut all their shoes the same, make them all the same. There was 2 sizes in the Civil War. Way too big and way too small. You were just hoping that you got way too big. So this is what a regular soldier would have worn. This shoe, without the heel plate, you'd have been lucky to get about a month, 2 months out of. Okay? That's when they started coming up with this heel plate. It's just like a horse. You unshoe a horse and you run a horse down the road, down the asphalt, it's going to wear its hoof down. Okay? The hoof gets wear down too far, horse gets sick, gets an infection, horse dies. It's not good. Same thing with a soldier. A soldier is only as good as his feet. He has bad feet, he can't march. He can't march, he can't get to the battle. Can't get to the battle, he can't win. So they did all kinds of innovations at that time, and this is one of them. It's putting these heel plates on shoes so they wouldn't wear. Okay? So an officer in that time would have worn boots. Very fancy, snazzy, huh? Nice and hard. They don't move, they don't give. Something in this one. An officer would have had these. This would have ran an officer about 2 months' salary to buy these. All officers had to buy all their own uniforms. They were not issued to them like a soldier like I would have been. They would have had custom tailored uniforms. Okay? Bayonet, cap box or cartridge box and cap their waist. Okay? As an enlisted guy, this would have been everything I needed to fix, maintain, and fire my musket. Okay? Stick it in. Twist it completely around. Pull it back out.
Doesn't that hurt me?
As you can see, it's a triangle shape. Okay? So when it goes in nice and clean. When you twist it,
Turn.
starts tearing stuff up. Pull it back out. Number 2 cause of death, right here. Civil War. Number 1. What was number 1? You tell me. Disease? Yeah, infection. Infection. Okay? Not sharp. They were not sharp. They were not used to inflict wounds. Most of the time, the only time this was ever drawn was to guide people. If you want your company to turn left, companies by file left, and they would go like that. It's pretty much what it was used for. Or to lean on. You'll see lots of pictures, and it's funny. You'll see lots of pictures from the Civil War of officers doing this. That was the number 1 use, I think, for these things. Nobody ever really used them. They were just there. Yeah. Status. Status. You had a sword, you were special. The other thing that officers would have had, and as well as officers like NCOs, would have carried a Colt revolver of some sort. Maybe not necessarily a Colt. Springfield Armory also had one. Okay? If you were in the north, it would have been a Springfield. If you were in the south, it would have been a Colt. They would have carried one of these. Very rarely would they have used it. If they were on horseback, they probably would have used it, but that's about it. Most of the times they were just in their holsters. About talking loud, but normally I have to tell the class that I can't hear out of this ear. Literally, it's gone. I was at 150th Gettysburg this year, in July, this last year in July, and I was in a line. You guys seen Napoleonic type? You know, you got guys in front of each other shooting over shoulders, right? I had a guy shoot his musket a little too close to my ear. So, you want to hold this out? I can kill myself. So, muskets like this, normally it would have been fired like this. This number 2 band would have been right at my ear. Loud part of the gun, loud part of the gun, okay? Normal. Every human being does it like this, except for this guy, who decided to shoot the gun like this. You think it's funny. It went off. It exploded my eardrum, my ear canal, bleeding out of my ear, had vertigo, so bad I couldn't walk, sick to my stomach because my body was spinning. You know, like a tilt-a-whirl? Amusement ride, tilt-a-whirl, you go round and round like that? That's what I felt like.
That's fun.
I couldn't stand up. I couldn't talk. My hands would just shake. Okay? And now, because of that, I can't hear. I left the 150th Gettysburg in the back of a squad. Shut the battle down. 40,000 reenactors, 100,000 spectators got to watch this guy loaded in the back of a squad and drove off the battlefield. No. So, it is a hobby. I enjoy my hobby, but it is dangerous. So, number 1 was getting shot by a musket. You get shot by a musket, it's a lead ball. Lead's real soft. When it comes out of the end of the musket, it mushrooms. Gets like a 50-cent piece, about that size. Hit your body. So imagine a 50-cent piece coming out of a gun, hitting your body. It's going to mess it up. Hits the bone, shatters the bone. Bone turns into hundreds of little tiny pieces of bone. Rips the flesh apart. Nasty. So they didn't fix it. They just cut it off.
Oh, that messed you up.
I get shot in the arm, cut me off at the elbow. I get shot up here in the bicep, cut me off at the shoulder.
A description of the ration a Civil War soldier would receive comes from a book called Hardtack and Coffee by John Billings. Here is the marching ration: 1 pound of hard bread, 3/4 of a pound of salt pork, and 1 1/4 pounds of fresh meat, sugar, coffee, and salt. The beans, rice, soap, candles, etc. were not issued to the soldier when on the march, as he could not carry them. I will speak of the rations more in detail, beginning with the hard bread, or, to use the name by which it was known in the Army of the Potomac, hardtack. What was hardtack? It was a plain flour and water biscuit, to which I have in my possession as mementos measure 3 1/8 by 2 7/8 inches and are nearly half an inch thick. Although these biscuits were furnished to organizations by weight, they were dealt out to the men by number, 9 constituting a ration in some regiments and 10 in others, but there were usually enough for those who wanted more, as some men would not draw them. While hardtack was nutritious, yet a hungry man could eat his 10 in a short time and still be hungry. When they were poor and fit objects for the soldier's wrath, it was due to one of 3 conditions. First, they may have been so hard that they could not be bitten. It then required a very strong blow of the fist to break them. The second condition was when they were moldy or wet, as sometimes happened, and should not have been given to soldiers. I think this condition was often due to their having been boxed up too soon after baking. The third condition was when, from storage, they had become infested with maggots and weevils. These weevils were, in my experience, more abundant than the maggots. They were a little slim brown bug, 1/8 of an inch in length, and were great bores on a small scale, having the ability to completely riddle the hardtack. I believe they never interfered with the hardest variety. But hardtack was not so bad an article of food, even when traversed by insects, as may be supposed. Eaten in the dark, no one could tell the difference between it and hardtack that was untenanated. It was no uncommon occurrence for a man to find the surface of his pot of coffee swimming with weevils after breaking up hardtack in it, which had come out of the fragments only to drown. but they were easily skimmed off and left no distinctive flavor behind.